started. I guess the best place to start is, tell me about this guitar. Well, I know we've gotten into it a little bit, but what makes it so special for y'all's family?
Well, this guitar, not only is it a 1974 20th anniversary Gibson Les Paul Custom, my Uncle Roger McGuire bought the guitar brand new, and he said, if I can remember correctly, he'd give $600 or $800 for it brand new. And he toured across the country playing this thing, every bar and every little dive that you could think of, from Florida all the way up to around New York, I reckon. And toured around following Exile. And the guitar just, it was worn out and played by him. It's got his DNA, written all over the guitar. I remember being a young lad and pulling the guitar out from underneath his bed and just looking at it and just in amazement and, and just gawking and loving it. And then the guitar was stolen. It was taken from Uncle Roger, and it was gone for close to 20 years. Yeah. And the guitar, we don't know who stole it. We don't really want to speculate on that, but the guitar was sold to a guitar shop that's no longer around in Berea, and it was bought by a woman named Lauren Ray. And her brother had a band and played that guitar for 20 more years and just rock and rolled it. And miraculously, the guitar got sent from Louisville, Kentucky to Somerset, Kentucky to be repaired. And a friend of my Uncle Roger's, Denny Halcomb is his name, he was at the guy's house that was working on this guitar. His name is Chris Hosner, I believe. And he said, hey man, you want to see something cool? And brought this guitar out. And Denny seen the Joshua Cooley logo on the guitar case and then instantly knew whose guitar this was. And then Denny called my Uncle Roger's ex-bandmate, Keith Mink. And Keith Mink knew exactly whose guitar this was. And he called my mother. And my mother called my aunt. And then it got to me. And this all happened on December 14th, which is my birthday. And so the guitar, thanks to love and hope and kind people and loving souls, I traded a Gibson Les Paul, a Gibson SG, and the Fender Stratocaster, all together worth about $5,000 to get this guitar back. So my music room is kind of empty now, but I've got something that's priceless. And this was my uncle's, and like I said, it breathes and bleeds my uncle still yet. He is 100% alive.
You can feel him on this guitar.
Yes.
You can. I do.
I'm almost teared up because
yes.
I know he's with me right now, sitting right here.
Yes.
And that was a perfect segue into my next question of when you got the phone call being like, hey, we think we found your uncle's guitar. And it probably was one of those things where you're like, no, it can't be. And then you saw it. What was that moment like? Because there is nothing in life that really can describe it.
No.
Well, when my uncle was alive, I thought I found the guitar once on the internet, and I told him about it. And I believe he was still heartbroken over the guitar. And he told me in his old raspy voice, he said, well, I don't care if you ever find that thing, you just keep it. You can have it. And I believe my Uncle Roger is the one that found the guitar and sent his friend Denny Halcomb over there to get it and send it back to family. And when the guitar was found, and especially being on my birthday, and after 20 years, the guitar is a 20th anniversary, and now it has another 20th anniversary. It's a double 20th anniversary guitar, and I just can't explain the chills that I got and the heart palpitations that I got when I saw the guitar. And when I finally got it and looked at it, I opened the case up, and Lauren Ray, the woman that had the guitar, she had to come hold me and hug me because it took me about 5 or 10 minutes before I could even pick the guitar up. Opened the case and I just bawled.
That's all I could think of when I heard that the guitar. I kept thinking, well, we ain't gonna get it. Something's gonna happen. We ain't gonna get it. And of course, Brandon gave up a lot to get it. And you know, and I kept thinking, we're not going to get it, we're not going to get it. And I couldn't believe it until I walked in his house and saw it. And I was like, Brandon, all you could do was just cry, thinking, you know, Roger would be so happy that this guitar is back and that Brandon's got it, because his other guitar that he played after this, he told me about 2 weeks before he died, make sure Brandon gets that guitar. So he willed his other guitar to Brandon that he played when he played it after he
That
got
one right there.
yeah, that one there. So, you know, I knew what he wanted to do with this guitar. I knew who he wanted to have it. So the fact that it came on his birthday and that his mother was involved, and it was just so emotional for us. And it's spiritual, you know, that we feel the spirituality in this guitar. You know, we feel that, both of us.
It has a soul.
Yes,
it
does.
lives and breathes.
And that's another perfect segue into, just tell me a little bit about your husband.
Yeah.
For you, I mean, you got to see him at the peak of his powers,
Oh,
I
yes,
guess,
yes.
touring the country.
Yes.
What was he like as a human being and also as a musician? I guess this piece of music, this piece of equipment, was always by his side. I have to imagine you had stories like, you spent more time with that guitar than with me.
Yes. He had this guitar longer than he had me. Because when he started playing, I remember, you know, them playing their senior party and all this, and you know, we weren't married then. I remember him in the band playing this guitar, and then we met later on, and Roger was a very spiritual person, and he really believed in God and you know, the power of God and all this, and he was a very good person. And the fact that, you know, somebody stole this guitar from him, he didn't pursue, because he was like, well, you know, somebody must have needed it, you know, more than I did. And so he didn't pursue anything. He didn't try to, you know, he didn't really try to find it. And I think he always knew it would come back. That's what I feel like, that he always knew that we would get it back. And I think that I said, I feel like he can rest in peace now. That's the way that's the first thing I said. I said, he can rest in peace now. I really believe that this guitar is home, and that was his wish.
And
So,
we talked about it before. You mentioned you had to give up so much to get it.
Yes.
yes.
But you cannot put a price on it from a
Yes.
dollar and cent standpoint. To know that there is that, you have this family heirloom, for lack of a better term,
Yes.
back in the family. Talk to me a little bit about that, and having that connection with your husband, your uncle, and it will not be leaving this house ever again.
No, sir. No, sir. This guitar is going to be well protected. We have security systems. If I leave this house, go on vacation, this guitar will probably go to my Aunt Beverly's home, my mother's home. It will go somewhere. It will not be here alone. Somebody will always be with this guitar, because it's never going to leave again. That's 100% sure. It's priceless, you know. To me, there's not a value on this guitar. It's road worn, and you can get online right now and you can look up 20th anniversary Les Paul Customs, and they're worth anywhere between a couple $1,000s to $10,000, but there's no price on this one. Mm-hmm. This one's not for sale.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
You touched on it before, that it's like your uncle, your husband almost kind of knew that it was gonna come back.
Yeah.
To have him here, not physically, but in the
Yes.
form of a guitar, what is that like to know, like, hey, we still have, our family's still whole, in a sense. It's now back whole because this guitar's here.
Oh yeah, you feel him with this guitar. You feel him, and when you open that case, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so worn, and you just you just feel him in the case and the guitar and everything. And this guitar was white.
So it wasn't always that yellow.
No, and you can see where it's worn here, and yeah, it was white. And if you look at the pictures.
Yes, this is all his fingers. This is the original color, the Alpine white underneath. And you can see it right here. But that's all aged and nicotine stains from the bars.
From the bars.
And I'll flip it around here and show you. There's my Uncle Roger's buckle rash. That's where his belt buckle wore it out. And his hands played that thing. It's just
and he was
beautiful.
He was a very, very good guitar player. He was a perfectionist, and he was so good. And if he didn't think he did a good job, he'd be so upset about it. When he played music, he was a very, very perfectionist.
He is Uncle Roger is definitely the reason that I picked the guitar up. I was 8, 9, 10-year-old, and Aunt Beverly would come pick me up and take me with her on weekends, and I'd kind of roadie for my Uncle Roger. I'd do the best I could and pack his amps into the White Barn or the Phelps Music Place down in Corbin, wherever they'd let a kid in, to watch music. And they'd pack me around, and he was a rock star. He was my Stevie Ray Vaughan, a living, breathing guitar god. My uncle.
And that was going to be the next question I asked was, is there any story that kind of stands out? You watching your uncle play and then obviously adopting the guitar yourself, and then you seeing him on the road and being, again, like we said before, the peak of his powers.
Well, as far as watching him, I was kind of too young to really remember watching him. I remember watching him, but as far as remembering him shredding and things like that, I can't remember hearing him, but I can remember seeing him. But I got a CD that I listen to. It's in my truck right now, and I play him every day, so I get to listen to him. But man, I can right now still vision my Uncle Roger playing on stage right now. He had a presence about him. He was to me, he was 10 foot tall when he played that guitar. It was something else. And he always looked good doing it. He liked his button-up shirts and his cowboy boots, old snake skins, but he looked good doing it.
Look good, feel good, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What do you think he would be saying right now as he's watching down on us? What do you think he would say to you? Would it just be something simple as, don't lose my guitar, or would it be something a bit more?
Would be very simple about it. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't have much to say. Roger didn't have a whole lot to say. He wasn't a flamboyant person till he got on stage. When he got on stage, he was a totally different person. He was real laid back and didn't have much to say, and but when he got on stage, he was a totally different person.
Even when I'd stay all night with my Aunt Beverly, and when I was trying to learn to play guitar, I'd stay all night hoping that my Uncle Roger would teach me to play guitar. And all he would do would take me in his bedroom. He'd set me up on his amp, hook me up, He'd say, "Here's a D chord. Put your fingers here, here, and there. There you go." And he'd walk off. And he'd leave me in there to it. He didn't tell me nothing except put your fingers here, here, and there, and just try to play it. And he'd go in there in his living room, sit in his recliner, and I'd be in there making noise. I'd quit, and you'd think he wouldn't pay no attention or nothing like that. You'd hear him say, I'd start making something up or just making noise. That ain't what you're supposed to be in there playing, is it? And that's pretty much all the lessons I got.
But clearly it worked.
Yeah, it worked. With guitar, you can have lessons and this and that, but I believe if you're going to play, it comes from somewhere in here. And all it takes is somebody to show you a lick or two, and if you want it and it's in you, it's going to come out, And I think my Uncle Roger knew I had it in me. And that's why it didn't take a whole lot of teaching. He knew I was hungry. He knew I wanted it. And he knew I needed this.
I mean, have you played it?
Oh, yes.
What is it like? Do you feel like his spirit is coming over you? What is
I
it?
would tell you, and this is no joke, as soon as I came home with this guitar and plugged it up, my fingers, this sounds crazy, but I was instantly better. It was like my Uncle Roger went right through me, and my fingers was doing some licks and some bends and some things that I don't know where they come from.
Like he was almost guiding your hand.
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm just an average picker, but I started playing that guitar, and I'm telling you, my confidence boosted, and my skill level went out the roof. In a matter of just holding that guitar, I don't know what the difference was, but like I said, I could feel some power through it. My Uncle Roger's coming through me some way or another, but it's for sure a screamer.
Lastly, I'd be remiss not to ask you, because we were talking about before, the band itself. The fact that your Uncle Roger got to explore the country, go around the place, and be not just like just some random performer playing at random dive bars. Like it was going almost, like we said, almost as close to mainstream as you could get for that time period. Just what was that like, and what was it like for you to know that he had that experience, and what was it like for you to almost see him do it and be a part of it?
Well, you know, back in the 70s when he was when they were so prevalent, around here they were like, you know, these bands, AC/DC, and people, you know, if you got to go see them, you felt, you know, like, oh, I've seen this great band.
I got the big ticket.
Yes, you know, and that's the way it was. Everybody went to see them. Everybody that lived around here, anytime they played anywhere close, you went to see them. And they were really, really good. And they were kind of like southern rockish, and then they kind of moved into country when country started, you know, getting a little bigger, so they kind of evolved into country. But he loved it because, you know, like they toured, they went everywhere, they went, you know, Iowa and, you know, Florida, all around all these little places. Because I remember him telling me that he didn't sing in the band, and they went to play somewhere, and wherever they went, for some reason they said, well, everybody in the band has to sing. And he said, he said, I don't sing, but he was a good singer.
He was a good singer.
He had this, like, you know, and he talks about how he had this deep voice. And he wrote quite a few songs.
He had the perfect grit in his voice, for sure. He did.
And one of the songs he wrote was, you know, learning how to play a guitar. And that's my favorite, is, you know, him talking about the song that he wrote about learning to play the guitar. And when I see this, it makes me think of that. It makes me think of him back in those days, being a little kid and playing on a guitar that his mama had.
Falling in love. It's like the first love.
Yes. And you know, and that's why because he said, you know, you teaching somebody how to play a guitar, you can teach somebody, but they got to learn on their own. You know, and that's why he set him in there and said, this is what you do, and you practice at it. You practice that lick or whatever. I don't know anything about guitars or anything like that. And but gosh, when I just like now, I'm sitting here and I just feel him, and I know people will think, oh, that's crazy, but I do. I just feel him with this guitar, and you know, to me, it's famous. It's a famous guitar. That's the way I feel about it.
100%.
Yes, it's a famous guitar to me.
That's awesome. Is there anything else I didn't ask that you'd like to add?
Well, like she's saying about the guitar being famous, in my opinion, I own this now. it's ours. It's mine and my Aunt Bev's. It's our family's. I don't just own it. It's the family's. I'm just the caretaker. But this guitar, this is like owning Eric Clapton's Strat, you know, Jimi Hendrix's, Angus Young's SG, you know, B.B. King's Lucille. That is where this guitar is to me. You know, it's priceless, you know. It's going to be in this house, and it's going to be a museum piece. Now I'm going to play it, and I'm going to rock it, and I'm going to love it, but it will never leave, and it will be taken care of just like it should be, and that's for fact.
1,000%. There's nothing else. Perfect timing.
Make sure my little speaker is hooked up. Baby, I'm nervous. There you go. That's all I got.